Hi, my name is Ryan Lehnert, and I've been assigned the subject of employee orientation and have found an article that relates to such. As most people know, employee orientation has to deal with the training and the preparation techniques that many companies give to their employees upon new hire and to potential applicants. It's to weed out the people that are not fit for the company and to also figure out which employees are indeed fit and to give them an idea of what their daily tasks will be at the company and what steps they can do to perform those tasks adequately or be above expectation. The article that I found has to deal with the Ritz-Carlton, which many people also know is a very successful luxury hotel chain. They have 27 locations. At the time of the article, they had 27 different locations. And they often are regarded to put their employees through a process which is much more rigorous and demanding than other hotels. Thusly, this produces a type of employee that is regarded as at a higher caliber than some of their competitors, and is one of the reasons that the Ritz-Carlton themselves have enjoyed so much success over the years. Um, Concentrating on the employee orientation alone that they have to go through, one can see easily why they are so successful and how well prepared their employees are compared to their competitors when it comes to excellence and the high standards that they give to their customers. Now, part of the importance of having a successful employee orientation program is to better prepare the employee early on about what tasks and behaviors are expected of them when they're on the job. For example, instead of giving them training as problems arise, such as if you were to show a customer to the penthouse in the Ritz-Carlton or give them directions to an airport or any numerous amount of amenities that are available at the Ritz-Carlton to direct them to such, instead of waiting till that problem arises, the employees of the Ritz-Carlton go through such a rigorous program early on that they're better prepared for this um, when these situations arise. Most hotel chains, you deal with it on a case-by-case basis. And in the case of the Ritz-Carlton, they don't leave any stone unturned. And many of the employees which commented on this article say even though they worked at other hotel chains that have been demanding, they've never seen anything like the orientation program that the Ritz-Carlton employs. Now, what that does is show that they're better preparing their employees for things that may arise, and instead of leaving things to chance or leaving things out because they happen rarely, they choose to include and inform the employee about every conceivable situation that may arise. And it may be a lot to take in, and the employee may not realize that they're actually learning something, and it may seem overwhelming. But compounded with this, they're also telling them that their faith in the employee is so high that they believe they can take on this responsibility, which is a very important message to convey to your employee, because as they build their self-confidence, they become more positive, and a positive worker has been shown in many studies to produce more than someone that's given negative reinforcement. Now, from what the article states, the orientation is very rigorous, as I mentioned before, that the Ritz-Carlton employs, but it's with a good purpose, and it does follow the same guidelines of what I mentioned before that encompasses a positive and meaningful employee orientation. The first thing they do is describe things in detail of what is expected of each employee. This allows the employee to figure out their own standard of excellence that they need to live up to in order to perform an adequate or above adequate job as they're there. They also go through multiple interview processes, which helps further weed out the potential employees and the people that are ready to take on this burden and the people that aren't. There's many group tasks that they're assigned to early on. They work with each other. They get to know each other. They feel that they're part of a family, and they feed off of the positive and negative aspects in the way that each employee has their worries and their tensions. They share it with the other employees so that early on people see that they're not alone and they better feel part of something rather than ostracized. But speaking of that ostracism, they do stress early that they want the employee to have a certain amount of decision-making power by themselves. As they come into different customer interactions, every situation is going to be unique, and you need to think on your toes. Not every person is going to want the same thing, and not every person is going to want that in the same style in order to stress to the employee that this is going to occur, they also need to convey some level of self-governance into the employee, so that while there is guidelines, they also are allowed to think and bring their own personality into the mix and their own set of skills in order to better further the establishment. They also tell the employee why they were selected, not hired. They don't use the word hire there as far as what the article states. It gives a better sense of morale and principle and self-confidence, and any person that feels this way is going to work harder and going to work better. They feel a part instead of just being hired by an entity. Now, the Ritz-Carlton has won many awards consistently for their standards of excellence, and during periods of economic trauma for other companies, they've enjoyed growth. And part of the reason is because they've figured out what customers want, and this is also conveyed to the employee during the orientation. They tell them why they are successful, and they tell the employee what they have to do to continue this, as they are a representation, a face of the company themselves. So they take on not the responsibility of the role that they're hired for, but to bear the name Ritz-Carlton as they're communicating with the customer. They leave no detail to chance as far as amenities that they offer. They always have things available, but the things they don't have available, they ready the employee that is working with the customer to find a way to make those things available to each customer that stays at their establishment. So in summary, what I did take away from the article seems to be the general message of what the author was trying to convey from their findings at the Ritz-Carlton. And the main thing is that a happy worker is a hard worker, and that's the mentality that they relay to their employees early on by telling them that they will be rewarded for their hard efforts, but also monitored constantly with employee checks and evaluations. It keeps them on their toes, but it also keeps them happy because this hard training is balanced by a feeling of respect and worth that is reinstated and reinforced constantly by praise and bonus systems. And I think that this is the best system for hospitality management to follow, considering you get the type of employee that wants to be in an environment where the more they put in, the more they're going to get back. That's going to cause them to work harder and not just skate along the bare minimum. And this standard of excellence seems to work since the Ritz-Carlton has become such a known name, even for those that don't frequent these sort of establishments, because they are pricey. And that's another thing. A quote from the article states that the employees, as far as they know and as far as they're informed, they won't be able to afford to stay at an establishment like this, but they do feel that they are just as important enough in order to serve the people that do frequent these places, which puts them on a level of superiority over maybe their competition and gives them a sense of pride which carries over to their work. Also, another thing that is stressed often is that communication is key between the management and the employee. By these constant evaluations taking place and telling them that we do monitor and we care enough about you as an employee to tell you if you're doing something wrong or right, it leaves less of a chance of something going unaddressed. A constant worry of the employee or a constant problem that the employee is exercising at the establishment. Those things are taken care of by having the lines of communication open early and stressed during the orientation. This company has identified what customers want, and it explains it to their customers, to their employees, sorry. And the reward system that is in place gives what you put in. And when you have a system like this, you are going to see favorable results, not only from a monetary sense, but from an employee satisfaction sense. And if you have a lower turnover rate, then you have to spend less time on training because you maintain the same employees, and that is a very important thing. It saves the company money, and it saves the employee from worrying about if they have to keep their job or if they have to seek out a better place with better benefits and opportunities for them. If they feel that they're working at the best place possible, they're going to put in what they deem as an excellence caliber that the company is looking for the employee to exercise during their tenure there.